This is an Oklahoma weather alert here just after 10 o'clock, right around 10:10 this evening. And William Cole here live in the Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV Forecast Center. And folks, we're still continuing to track severe weather across Oklahoma. And in fact, our Phillip McGee, he's up across parts of Northwestern Oklahoma. We're going to check in with him here in just a second. But first of all, let's go and take a look at the overview. This is what's going on. And of course, we've really been with you throughout the evening. We've been tracking severe weather out in the Texas Panhandle, now all the way into Northwestern Oklahoma with a couple tornado warnings up there, and now severe thunderstorm warnings down across parts of southwestern Oklahoma. So it's been, as promised, a very active weather night across Oklahoma. First of all, this area in green, this is a tornado watch. It does continue until 3 o'clock in the morning. It does include the Oklahoma City metro. Some light scattered showers ongoing across parts of eastern Oklahoma with a little bit of embedded thunder there. That activity is really tracking off to the northeast. This is not severe over here, but again, some of it could be a little bit in the way of thunderstorm activity, but again, non-severe. And then we pick up on the severe weather across parts of western Oklahoma, and primarily, first of all, up across parts of northwestern Oklahoma. That is where tornado warnings do continue at this hour. Let's go and zoom in on that activity up there first of all. And as we take a closer look at that activity, let's go ahead and pull the radar up there first. Again, that's where our Phillip McGee is. And again, we do continue with 2 tornado warnings up there. And both of them in effect are actually, let's just say the Harper County tornado warning is in effect until 10:45. And then we also continue with a tornado warning for Woods County. That is in effect until 10:30. Just to kind of orient you, this is the Harper County warning right here until 10:45, the Woods County warning right here until 10:30, and this is where Phillip McGee is right there. Let's go ahead and bring him on the live line. I know he's there with us, and again, he's looking at that circulation that's really just on the northern sides of the Laverne area. And Phillip, you're on the live line. Let's go and switch over to your live stream. Tell us what you're seeing right now and kind of tell us what's going on up there across northwestern Oklahoma.
Okay, yeah, William, we just pulled out of the town of Laverne, and we're on 283 north, and we're looking back to the north. It looks like that the main part of the circulation may have just crossed over 283, and you might want to verify that. The cell signal up here is a little bit bad, and so it's kind of in and out as far as data and as far as phone signal goes. That being said, the people that are in Laverne and Ralston, even the Buffalo area, I would definitely take the tornado precautions at this time because these things are putting down some rain now, and so potentially if there is anything that is on the ground, it's going to be rain wrapped and you're not even going to be able to see it at all. So there's still a lot of traffic out, and generally they're not all storm spotters or anything like that. There's some people that are just driving, in from work or wherever, but the important thing is they definitely need to be weather aware whenever they're out in these driving conditions.
Yeah, Phillip, there's no doubt about that. What I'm doing here, I actually just went ahead and pulled up velocity. So this is the exact storm that you're looking at. Phillip is just north of Laverne. He's looking basically due north. So what we're looking at here with velocities, this is basically radar estimating wind motion within the storm. And again, basically right here, we're seeing a little bit of spin right there on the northern sides of Laverne. Regardless, the tornado warning does continue. So anytime a tornado warning is in effect, definitely take your tornado precautions. But just as we kind of analyze the radar data here, again, from what we saw earlier, the intensity of the rotation has come down slightly, but again, we are still getting some decent rotation here, and it's basically right along 64 now, just to the east of Ralston, and again, also to the north of Laverne, just north of where Phillip McGee is. Phillip, as you look off to the north, I mean, can you see a lowering from your location as the lightning kind of lights up the sky there in the background, or what are you seeing?
Okay, William. No, there's so much rain coming down at this point. We're not actually able to see anything at the moment, and so that makes things even more interesting whenever we're out trying to bring these things live to people. Extremely dangerous situations to be in. Nighttime chasing is probably one of the least favorite things to do, and so that being said, from what we're noticing right now, like we're saying, we're going to back up everything that you're seeing on the radar there. The circulation is basically over the 283 highway, maybe just to the north of the Ralston area.
It looks like here, Philip, we just, as the data is coming in here to the forecast center, we're getting the live feed in here, and this is looking off the NextRad site from Vance Air Force Base.
Yeah.
It looks like with the latest velocity data here, and I see your location, so there's Philip's GPS location right there. So he's just north of Laverne. As he's looking off to the north, the center of circulation, it's now to the east of Roston. It's right there on 64. Philip, from your location, if you look off to the northeast, you'll look right into it. It's right there on 64. It's spinning right there on 64. Now, we don't know that that's on the ground. Again, we don't have any visual verification. Again, we're just basically having to base everything this evening off of radar. Of course, like Philip said, when it's dark, you really can't get visual verification. You kind of wait for the lightning to light up the sky and see what you can see. Again, that's kind of best case scenario. So we're really having to rely a lot on radar tonight. And again, with the radar products that we're looking at, again, this storm and even the storm that's over in parts of Woods County now, again, by radar estimates here, again, it looks like there's still potentially a tornado on the ground. This storm did produce tornadoes earlier in the evening down across parts of the Texas Panhandle. It still had a tornado warning on it through the Oklahoma Panhandle and now into parts of northwestern Oklahoma. But again, we're starting to get, Philip, a little bit of a high velocity couplet here again, and this is just really right over 64. Again, we're getting a little bit of bright green, a little bit of bright red. It's not super tight, but again, we're starting to get some higher velocities here, and it looks like this thing might be trying to spin up again as it does continue to track off to the northeast. So again, Philip, where you are, if you're looking off to the northeast, again, that's going to be your best bet from your location to see really what could potentially be underneath there.
Okay, William. Yeah, we're actually moving north on 283 right now to get up to Highway 64. It might be a little bit close to the actual circulation, but as it stands right now, the rain is coming down so hard, you wouldn't be able to know it until it was too late.
I get it. It could be rain
without
wrapped.
the aid of radar.
It could be rain wrapped, and at night that's even more dangerous. Yeah, it could be rain wrapped, and it could be that makes it even more dangerous. But again, if there is a tornado, and again, we don't know for sure if there is one, but again, basing it off of radar this evening, again, this is where it would be. It'd be right here. It would be right here, just right on 64, maybe a little bit to the north. Again, some fairly broad circulation, but a little bit in the way of high velocity circulation. Again, you see Philip moving live to the north. That's his live GPS location. He's moving live to the north. And again, so he's still to the west. Philip's safe. He's back to the west of the circulation. Generally, you want to be out in front of it, but again, or on the back side of it. But again, in his location, he's safe. He's fine. There's no problem there. But again, we are tracking that circulation there very closely. I do want to move the radar just a little bit further to the east. And I want to take a look at this other storm over across parts of Woods County. And again, just it's basically crossing into Kansas right now. But again, this storm here, just to give you folks a little bit of history, if you haven't been able to watch our coverage throughout the evening, this storm right here in northern Woods County, this started in Amarillo, actually to the southeast of Amarillo. It produced a fairly large tornado, multi-vortex, maybe a mile wide around the Pampa, Texas area, out in the Texas Panhandle. It's now moved all the way through northwestern Oklahoma with tornado warnings on it, and again, it is now moving into Kansas. So again, the tornado warning there for parts of Woods County, you saw that live, expiring as that storm now is moving out of Oklahoma into parts of Kansas. So again, that leaves us with this lone tornado-warned storm here in northwestern Oklahoma. Again, the one Phillip McGee is on. This is also tracking to the northeast. It's going to be tracking to Kansas here over about the next hour or so. But again, still some fairly deep spin with this. Phillip McGee is going a little bit further to the north. Again, it's nighttime. It's very hard to get a visual on these storms to see that there's actually a tornado on the ground. So again, we're having to rely a lot on radar tonight. But again, where Phillip McGee is, again, as he looks at this activity, as the lightning lights up the night sky, again, that's our best case scenario to see what's underneath that cloud base, and again, see if there is potentially a tornado on the ground. So again, Philip, you're still on the live line. Again, I know you're continuing to track north there. Again, tell us what you're seeing where you are right now.
Okay, William. Yeah, we are on Highway 283 north. We're coming up basically on Ralston. There at that 64 junction, and we're trying to look back to the east. The rain is inhibiting us from seeing anything at this moment. I will say this, that the cloud-to-ground lightning has picked up tremendously in this storm since we've made our little track north of the Laverne area. And so normally whenever you see a lot of lightning pick up like that, you can guarantee that the storm has picked up itself. And so that being said, we're going to try and get a little bit further east on the 64 highway. We're probably a half a mile from that junction right now, and we're going to be headed back to the east and see if we can see exactly what you're talking about. Anything underneath this cloud at all.
Absolutely, Philip. And in fact, this storm, it's moving so fast now that all these storms this evening have moved really extremely fast. They've been moving to the northeast at close to 50 miles per hour. There's Phillip McGee's live GPS signature. So again, he's going to be hitting 64 up here. But again, Philip, it looks like really the center of rotation is going to be really now north of 64. And again, it's rapidly lifting towards Kansas. So again, it's going to be out of Oklahoma here within about the next 30 minutes. But if you do get on 64, really halfway towards Buffalo, just roundabout, so to say. Again, if you look due to the north, again, that's where the center of circulation is going to be. But again, not well organized. Again, this isn't nearly as well organized as some of the storms we saw earlier this evening. So again, there's still some broad spin here, but again, not a tight, real gate-to-gate type circulation that again we did see earlier. But again, Phillip McGee, he's still up there in prime time location, and again, he's going to report back to us here in just a second. Again, what he's seeing again from his location, and we'll go back over to his stream. And Philip, we switch back over to your stream. We see you driving. Go ahead, Philip.
Okay, we're gonna make a little detour because as we made it to the Highway 64 junction, basically right here where that circulation would have passed over, it looks like that there might possibly be some emergency vehicles. So we're going to check that out, and then we're going to head east. I know that we're going to try to keep catch up with that storm, but we wanted to make sure that that there wasn't any damage, across the highway or anything like that. So
right, and that's a great point. What Philip is talking about on nights like this, when we have nighttime tornadoes, we don't necessarily have the visual to see if there was a tornado on the ground. We really rely on what's called damage verification, where basically where we think the tornado could have passed, you then drive through that location, you look around, and you basically look for damage, and you look to see if a tornado basically went through that area, if there is damage, what type of damage, and then that kind of gives you at least a little bit of a guesstimate as to what potentially is going on. And again, that's what we did earlier this evening across parts of Ellis County. Philip didn't see any damage. We did have a few damage reports up there, fairly minor up across parts of really northwestern Ellis County. But again, what Philip is doing right now, I mean, this is exactly what you have to do on nighttime tornado events. Again, if you can't see it, a lot of times, sometimes you just have to kind of drive right behind it and again, look for damage and again, base your estimate as to what's going on off of any kind of damage that you see. So Philip, again, where you're driving through those locations there, are you seeing any damage now this evening? And we may have lost Philip. I know it's a fairly rural area up there, and cell phone service up there has been a little spotty at times, but it looks like you're still with us, Philip. Again, have you seen any damage there as you're driving down 63 or 64 rather?
No, we have not seen any damage. There was a fire truck that was pulled over. I'm not exactly sure why they were there, unless they were out actually spotting this storm as it was moving through also. But no damage that we could tell. And we're now on Highway 64. We're headed back to the east towards the Buffalo area, and hopefully we can get out in front of this thing and see up underneath it again and see if there's any.
So Philip, tell me this, because right now, and this is real important here, especially when your storm trackers are out at night, you've got to watch their location. You need to know exactly where they are, because Philip, I'll tell you what, right now, right along 64, there's basically a little couplet, really right on and to the north of 64. So how far away from really that junction of 183 are you right now? How far to the east? Because you don't want to drive all the way through the Buffalo, because you might actually drive through the rotation right there. Again, we don't know if this is on the ground. This could just be a rotating low-level wall cloud, but at the same time, you don't want to take that chance. So, Philip, where exactly are you right now on 64? Philip, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. We're probably 2 miles east on Highway 64 at the moment. We've gotten into that heavy rain band again, and I see exactly what you're talking about. That circulation has really picked up to the northeast of our location at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it really has. I'll be honest with you. So really right there on 64, if I was you, Phillip, honestly, I wouldn't head any further to the east. You know, it's nighttime. It's one of those deals where we really don't need you out there driving, really punching through the cords right in the middle of it. So if I was you, I wouldn't go any further to the east there on 64. I really wouldn't. And again, really, like I mentioned, this whole storm, the whole thing is really rotating. And in fact, really now, even on the southern sides of 64, we have a little bit of broad rotation right there as well. So Phillip, he's probably right about here. Okay, so we've got a little bit of rotation right here, fairly broad rotation, and then we also have some rotation back here. This isn't super tight. It's not really high velocity. This doesn't necessarily mean there's a tornado on the ground, but again, it does mean that we do have a rotating thunderstorm and the potential for a tornado. Again, a tornado warning is in effect here. Again, that's in effect until at least 10:45 this evening. So Phillip, if I was you, I would head any further to the east. I would stay exactly right where you are. Let this storm just get out a little further in front of you. Again, the whole thing is rotating, and whenever that happens, whenever you have a broadly rotating thunderstorm, again, you can get little spin-ups really any place around it. Even if there's not a tornado on the ground, again, you can get those little spin-ups all around it. And again, it being nighttime, we really don't want you out in the mix on all that right there. So again, if I was you, I would stay right where you are, maybe even get back a little bit further to the west. It wouldn't hurt. And again, we'll continue to track that storm up there, again, across parts of northern Harper County. But let's go back to your stream. And I see there's still a lot of lightning. That storm is still really, really electrically active. Tell us what you're seeing up there right now.
Yeah, that's 100% true. The intensity of the lightning has picked up quite a bit. As we're sitting here, we pulled over on the highway, and like you said, we're going to let this thing kind of slide past us a little bit. Haven't had any hail or anything like that, other than whenever we were driving in Laverne, there was maybe some pea size and maybe an intermittent nickel to dime size hailstone that was coming out of the storm. So most of the heavier hail was up around the Ralston area, north of our location. That was our hopes, was that we could take and get a little bit further east and get back out in front of this. But these things are moving so fast that it's kind of impossible to even do that. If you let them out in front of you, they're pretty much gone.
It really is. It's just that kind of night. And again, because of the fact it's dark, it makes it so much more difficult. And again, we just want to underscore Phillip McGee. I know there's a lot of spotters, and let me just zoom the radar out just a little bit more. Let me actually switch it around here, and let me just make a quick adjustment there to it as we kind of take a look at Northwestern Oklahoma as a whole. And again, we just want to underscore the fact that, I know there's a lot of, chasers around Oklahoma. It's a fairly common thing to do, a lot of hobby for a lot of people. We don't condone nighttime chasing. Nighttime chasing is definitely not for the hobbyist. Phillip McGee is a very experienced, long-time storm tracker, and again, we don't really condone the nighttime chasing, but just keep that in mind. Phillip McGee, very, very experienced, long-time storm tracker. So again, he's up there in Northwestern Oklahoma. Tornado warning does continue up there. We don't have a visual on it, but again, tornado warning does continue there, definitely right around the Buffalo area, so tornado precautions continue there. Now, let's take a look down across parts of southwestern Oklahoma, because again, we do continue with some severe weather. Not tornadic, but severe weather ongoing down across parts of southwestern Oklahoma. Let's go and move the radar and actually switch radar sources here. And as we do that, again, severe thunderstorm warning, it does continue right now for parts of Beckham, also really over through the Ouachita, Kiowa, and then also even down through parts of Jackson County. Again, where you're seeing that, basically that little orange square, that orange polygon, and that's going to be in effect until 10:45 this evening. And again, this is the area we're talking about right here. Again, severe thunderstorm warning does continue right here. And this is going to be for some fairly decent wind gusts. We may see some wind gusts over 70 miles per hour. Again, this activity now starting to move fairly quickly to the east. And again, this is tracking really due east towards the Oklahoma City metro. Again, you're seeing this bow echo now. This bow echo, see how this line of storms is bowing out? Again, that's indicative of some fairly high velocity straight line winds. So we've really got to keep our eye on this. We're tracking that tornado warning really closely, just for the fact we have a tornado warning ongoing. We're going to get right back up there to Phillip McGee. But again, this bow echo, this is going to be the story as we start to head into the evening after that storm lifts into Kansas. Again, this is going to be an extremely severe line of storms that again is going to continue tracking to the east. So let's go back up there to Phillip McGee. You're still on the live line. Let's go back to your storm. Again, tornado warning does still continue up there in the Harper County area. And Phillip, tell us exactly where you are, and again, tell us kind of what you're seeing now.
Okay, William. Right, we're sitting on Highway 64, just a couple of miles east of the 283 junction. I think our GPS is finally updated and should show a good marker there at home as to where we're actually at. And that being said, we're just kind of sitting here letting this storm kind of slide past us. Nighttime, like you were saying, I was just going to back up exactly what you were trying to bring out to the folks, that it's not a good thing to do, not enjoyable at all. It's actually a pretty stressful type deal. And so we want to try and be safe, yet we also want to take and get out the information to all of our viewers that are watching this, to protect them also. So I have noticed that while we're sitting here, the cloud-to-ground lightning is not only picked up in intensity, but just, extremely, extremely dangerous. It's hitting, I would say, less than probably 1,000 yards from us at some points.
Hey, Phillip. Phillip. Phillip McGee, I hate to interrupt you just real quick. So I just kind of zoomed this back in again. These storms, they cycle. They're like living, breathing things. They cycle. And, over the last 15 minutes or so, let's say the storm kind of cycled down slightly. However, now over about the last 5 minutes, it looks like the circulation is starting to come back up a little bit now, really just to the north of Buffalo. But again, this is a broad circulation here, but then we have kind of like these high little velocity couplets as well. And even though it looks like this whole storm is rotating, that's what we've seen tonight. We've seen little spin-ups right on the leading edge of it, and it looks like really just on the northern sides of Buffalo, right here around the 183 area, we could have a little eddy spinning up right there. See that high velocity couplet? Here's the whole broad circulation down in here, but a little bit of a spin up right there along 183. So here's Phillip. Of course, he's away from the circulation, so he's safe over there. But again, Phillip, that area of rotation, again, it continues to track to the northeast there. But again, right there along 183 from Buffalo to the north, again, that looks like where the center of rotation is going to be, with maybe even a little bit of a spinning eddy there, right there on the northern side. It's almost about to cross that 183. But again, back to you up there. I know you said the lightning continues to increase. If you're looking off to the east, and especially off to the northeast, as the lightning lights up the sky, I know you're on the back end. It's kind of hard to see from there. But again, what are you seeing as you look off to the northeast?
Yeah, William, we're probably going to have to reposition because we're getting into some pretty heavy hail right now, and we're going to go ahead and move just a little bit further to the east. That circulation, like you said, has picked up in intensity and has moved right along that 183 highway over towards north of Buffalo. But right now, as you can tell from our stream, extremely heavy rain, dangerous cloud-to-ground lightning for sure. And so making driving conditions extremely difficult as we're driving on Highway 64 to the east.
Yeah, we can hear it. Is that hail, or is that just the rain on the windshield? Is that actually hail falling? We can hear that in the background.
It's a mix of both. The hail size, of course, it sounds like it's terrible. What I'm seeing right now is actually probably a little bit larger than maybe pea size.
Okay.
It's not extremely big, but it doesn't take long for that stuff to grow in size. So that being said, we're trying to stay away from that as much as possible. Sometimes it happens, and so anyways, I know that earlier today these things were putting out some pretty decent sized hail.
Phillip, that center of rotation, it's intensifying right there on 183. Now, this is about to move into Kansas. This is about to be out of Oklahoma, but right here over 183, this is to the north of Buffalo. Tornado warning continues here until 10:45. If there's a tornado on the ground, this is where it is right here. It's basically just on maybe a half a mile to the west of 183, but this would be it right here. So again, the couplet is starting to strengthen up. We're starting to get a high velocity gate-to-gate couplet going on right there again as well. So again, a lot of broad rotation. The whole storm here is rotating, but again, we're starting to get that tight couplet and really crossing 183. If there is a tornado on the ground, that's a tornado warning, so we take it serious regardless, of course. But again, without visual confirmation, relying on radar here, if there is a tornado on the ground, that's right here on 183. It's actually crossing 183 right now. There's Phillip's live GPS right back over there. So again, Phillip, if there is anything going on, it's really to the north of Buffalo right now. Again, like Phillip mentioned, let's go back over to reflectivity, and that is about to be up in Kansas here in literally about 5 minutes or less. But again, with Phillip's GPS location, again, you can basically see the hail core that he was just talking about. Again, this is live. This is updating live. So again, you can see that's the hail core right there that basically just moved right through his area. There's all the cloud ground lightning right there as well. But again, that center of rotation, let's go back to that one more time. Again, that's really important for our friends up here in Northwestern Oklahoma, rather. And again, that is basically just about to cross in to parts of Kansas. But again, we're seeing that red and green. It's cycling up. So this is a fairly high velocity couplet there. Again, cycling up right there. And again, it literally just crossed over 183. And again, it is about to track into parts of Kansas here, again, over about the next 15 minutes or so. But there it is right there. So if there's a tornado on the ground, there it is. So this is probably the strongest rotation we've seen in the storm in about the last 30 minutes. But it's definitely cycling back up. Again, right now, just on the eastern sides of 183, that's going to be due north of the Buffalo area up there in Harper County. So Phillip, go ahead and bring us back up to date. I know there's Phillip McGee. There's his live location. Again, you were in some hail a second ago. Kind of tell us what you're seeing right now and kind of tell us what's going on in your location. Let's go back to your live stream.
Okay, yeah, well, we are still traveling east on Highway 64. Like you said, that we see the same thing that you do as far as on the radar. See that couplet. We see the high velocity winds that are associated with that circulation. Just to kind of give you an idea of actually how powerful these storms are. The hail core is relatively a long ways away from us, but yet as we're still driving on 64, we're still going through small bands of hail as we're driving. And so whether it's coming from that storm and it's being thrown out the top of it, and then, in our location, that's one thing. But just wanted to give folks an idea that these are very, very dangerous, powerful storms, extremely dangerous cloud-to-ground lightning at the moment, and driving rain near the cells, closer to the cells. There's even higher winds, and we've covered this over and over and over again as far as higher profile vehicles and hydroplanes.
Hey, Phil, let me interrupt you. Can I interrupt you for just one sec? I just pulled up the hail core tracker, and I mean basically what you just said about some of those maybe like pea-sized hail you were just driving through. I mean this is exactly what he saw. So there's Phillip's location right there on 64. This is the hail core tracker. This is radar estimated hail size. There's that small hail core. It just passed through Phillip. Again, like he said, it was fairly small hail. You're seeing some blue there. That's going to be some pea, maybe a little bit of dimes mixed in, but overall, fairly small hail. Now, as you get up here to the Oklahoma-Kansas border, right up there by that mesocyclone, again, where we have the spin going on, again, where the potential tornado is, again, that's where we're getting up to like golf ball size hail up there. So again, where Phillip is, again, that small hail, there's the hail core that just moved through his location, but again, big hail now, right there on the Oklahoma-Kansas border, golf ball plus, and again, that's up there where the rotation is as well. Sorry, Phillip, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. Let's switch back over to your stream. And again, you're still driving. Are you heading to the east now towards Buffalo, or which way are you heading right now?
That's right. We're headed towards Buffalo. We've got out of that heavy driving rain, and we're out of the hail for right now. And so, well, now that I said that, the rain has started to pick back up into the heavier bands again. So. And that was one of the things that we had talked about, whenever we're sitting there at Laverne, that if there is an actual tornado on the ground, you wouldn't see it in the first place because it's going to be rain wrapped. And so, like I said, we've seen people out driving through these things, semi-trucks trying to make their way to wherever they're going. And, I know that they probably pay attention to their CB radios and to the weather radio in their truck, but it's not worth taking that chance of trying to drive through one of these things, not knowing what you can't see, and potentially putting yourself or other people in harm.
So good news here. The center of rotation now, Phillip, it's basically right at the Oklahoma-Kansas border. It's about to cross out of Oklahoma. It's about to cross out of Oklahoma into Kansas. And again, this is still far northern Harper County. Here's Buffalo. Phillip McGee is right back over there with his live GPS location. Again, this storm, it did intensify here over the last 10 minutes. Again, the spin really came back up in it. Low-level spin, it's a fairly high velocity, a couplet, at least here over the last 5 minutes. That crossed right over 183. Again, we don't have a visual. It's nighttime, so we're not really sure if there was a tornado. Again, we're just relying on radar. And again, what we're seeing here on radar, again, there was definitely a potential tornado that did cross right over 183. But again, there's a center of spin now across parts of northern Harper County. And again, that's going to be tracking into Kansas here over about the next 10 minutes. So very quickly now moving out of Oklahoma. So that's good news right there. Let's do this. Phillip, we're going to get right back to you. I know you're up there live. We see your stream. We're going to get right back to you. I just want to take a look at the broad view again here real quick, just for the fact we do have still some severe weather going across parts of southwestern Oklahoma. I want to take a look at this here as well. So let me go and pull that up here real quick. And again, as we get the broad view pulled up here, again, in green, tornado watch continues until 3 o'clock in the morning, all of western Oklahoma, all the way in here into central Oklahoma. Tornado warning does still officially continue up there for Harper County. That storm is now lifting into Kansas. That tornado warning will be allowed to expire or canceled here fairly quickly. So again, tornadic supercells leaving Oklahoma going into Kansas. Again, that's good news right there for northwestern Oklahoma. The tornado threat, at least right now, coming down. Anywhere behind this line of storms, the back end of it, in the clear air here, your risk of rain, storms, anything else tonight goes basically down to zero. So as this line of storms moves through Oklahoma, behind it, rain chances going to zero, storm chances going to zero. So just keep that in mind. But again, ahead of this line here, again, especially this line down here in southwestern Oklahoma, definitely the opportunity for some fairly gusty winds. Winds 80 miles per hour, quite possible. Again, you see that bowing of this segment there, that bow echo right there. Let's take a different view here. And as I pull up a different radar source here, again, when you see that bow echo, that's winds gusting out in front of the activity. And again, that's exactly what we're seeing. This is a fairly classic bow echo now across parts of southwestern Oklahoma. And again, look at this, folks. This is fairly impressive here. This bow echo here is fairly impressive. So winds 80 miles per hour are definitely possible right here in this bow echo. Severe thunderstorm warnings do continue as well, but again, that's going to be warned for wind. That's a textbook bow echo right there, if you will. And again, those storms are quite severe. Now, there's other activity up across parts of really west central Oklahoma. Let's zoom the radar in here just a little bit. And Phillip, we're going to get back to you here in just 1 second there in northern Oklahoma. But right there across parts of southern Ellis County down through Roger Mills County. Again, folks, these aren't severe, but again, these are still some fairly heavy thunderstorms from Harmon, really all the way even back down through, let's just say the Elk City area there. That's just on the northern sides of the warning. Again, these are still fairly heavy storms. Gusty winds still possible, even though those storms right there are not severe. As we pull the radar just a little bit further to the south, again, that is where we do pick up on some severe weather. Again, severe thunderstorm warnings do continue here, and that's going to be for really Custer County, Washita County, Kiowa County, even all the way down through, let's just say, parts of Greer County, continuing with that as well, and even Beckham County. And that thunderstorm warning there is going to be in effect until 11:15 this evening. So again, this new warning right here that you see right here, this is going to be in effect until 11:15 this evening. Again, these storms moving fairly quickly to the east at close to 50 miles per hour. And again, they are tracking towards the Oklahoma City metro. Again, with that bowing line segment there, again, definitely very high winds are possible with that. The Weather Service is warning it for up to 70 mile per hour winds and some nickel-sized hail. Let's get back up to northern Oklahoma, or northwestern Oklahoma rather. Let's check back in with Phillip McGee on the live line. And Phillip, tell us where you are right now.
Okay, William. Yeah, we just made it to Buffalo, and we're on Highway 183. It looks to me that pretty much the main part of that cell has moved up into the Kansas area, southwestern Kansas, and so we're going to head back to the south towards Woodward. It's getting pretty close to where we're going to have to start getting some fuel anyways, and there's not a lot of places open up here this late at night. So
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Especially up there in northwestern Oklahoma. I mean, obviously, rural communities, a lot of those locations close fairly quickly. So the good news is there in northwestern Oklahoma, while we still have the velocities up at least one more time tonight, again, you can really see where that spin or that mesocyclone, again, is really exiting out of Oklahoma now up into parts of Kansas. So that's good news right there. Again, even though tornado warnings, you just saw one of them drop off, this other tornado warning right there for northern Harper County, again, that's going to really drop off here over the next 5 minutes, as well as that storm is now moving out of Oklahoma into parts of Kansas. So again, that's good news right there. Again, tornado warnings now expiring or being canceled up across parts of northern Oklahoma. And then again, the only severe thunderstorm warning that we currently have in effect is down there across parts of southwestern Oklahoma. Let's take the broad view one more time just to show everybody an overview as to what's going on. And again, Phillip, amazing job up there in northwestern Oklahoma. Phillip McGee was all out in the Texas Panhandle, northwestern Oklahoma. I mean, he's basically been all around today as we've been tracking really these supercells from the Texas Panhandle through northwestern Oklahoma. And again, they're now exiting into parts of Kansas. But again, this segment down here, this line segment, this Boeing line segment down here in southwestern Oklahoma, quite severe winds, 70, maybe even 80 miles per hour, quite possible with this. Severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. This activity is moving fairly quickly to the east there at 50 miles per hour, of course, tracking right towards the Oklahoma City metro. So as we start to head into really the first part of the overnight period, this activity is going to move right into central Oklahoma. It's going to be fairly noisy. It's going to be fairly windy. And again, if you're a light sleeper, it's definitely going to wake you up. Even if you're a heavy sleeper, this activity most likely is going to wake you up as we start to head into the evening. Tornado watch does continue until 3 o'clock in the morning. That's important to keep in mind that, again, the tornado risk will continue at least until 3 o'clock in the morning. The overall tornado risk heading into the overnight period, it's going to be fairly low across Oklahoma. But anytime you get these squall lines, and that's what this is right here, is a squall line. Especially when you have some high velocity winds with it, a lot of times you can get little spin-ups along the leading edge. So even though it may not be a classic tornado setup, again, little spin-ups along the leading edge, those are definitely possible. That's a real possibility as we head into the evening. And again, that's why the Storm Prediction Center has extended that tornado watch to the east to include the Oklahoma City metro through 3 o'clock in the morning. So keep that in mind as well. So folks, we're going to take a quick break. Again, we've been live throughout most of the evening here. And of course, Phillip McGee, he's going to get some gas up there in northwestern Oklahoma. We'll check back in with him in a little bit. Right now, around 10:45 in the evening, we'll have another live update here in about 15 minutes. Keep it here with Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. We'll keep you up to date with the latest live weather information for Oklahoma.